His creativity exceeds engineer, songwriter, and producer. Today on When We Speak, we'll get a glimpse inside the artistry of Mike Sal.
When we speak.
Multinahi words from the last Death and life are in the power of the tongue.
When we speak.
You're a producer,
Yes.
you're an engineer,
Yes.
and you're like, what, I am? And you're a songwriter.
Yes. This man's done his work.
Now, we definitely know what a songwriter is. Now, I think personally that a lot of people sometimes mix up the difference between a producer and an engineer. Could you explain like the difference between those a little bit?
Sure. I can give you what I think I've learned through my experience and also just through the mentoring that I've received. I think the roles changed over years.
Okay.
I think early on, the roles, well, I guess even today, they can overlap a little bit. For me, I started more on the technical side, which is engineering. The engineering is really being responsible for the technical know-how, the savvy, and really having a palette, a sonic palette for equipment, microphones, placements, how to try to capture a sound the best way and transmit it to a recorded medium. That's kind of the science of engineering. So the engineer can just be somebody who's handling the technical aspect, and then the producer, again, depending, I guess, on the arrangement of the studio sessions, that the politics of studio sessions can run the gambit of how it breaks down. But if it's really broken down where engineer has a solid role of just that, and a producer can step in then, and the producer's really, again, that can kind of take on different layers. Some producers may be responsible for composing and actually performing all of the music and pulling a song together for the artist.
Okay.
But a producer can also be somebody who enlists specific musicians to create a certain feel or sound. If you're working on records that have maybe like a somewhat of an ethnic thing that you're not versed in, maybe you don't force yourself to do that, but as producer, it's your responsibility for the project to find the people that are going to execute the idea that you have in mind or that you're working out with, I guess, the artist, maybe if it's directly with an artist. The producer, I guess, at the end of the day is really responsible for handling the execution and all the way down to the mixing and the mastering of a song for the artist. They might not personally mix it or master it.
Okay.
But that might be something that at the end of the day, it's kind of like, as producer, if it's a good song, it's because you pushed it to be that, whether it's retaking vocals or retaking guitar parts, rearranging the song, speeding up the song. That's all kind of supposed to be the responsibility of the producer.
Okay.
We're in Atlanta, right? It's like you never know. I mean, I made my transition because I was there as an engineer, and people were excited to have me in studios as an engineer. But I always was excited I would hear ideas, and I wouldn't ask if they wanted to hear the idea. I was quick enough that I could just execute the idea really quick and then undo it. So I'd let it play sometimes, like they'd be listening to what they're used to. Bam, I'd switch it up. It'd play down, and if they responded positively, I'd undo it as soon as they heard it, and then it would come back, and guys, when they'd hear it, their producers would come in, oh, I love that, So I started
So it kind of opened that door.
I started to get calls because people liked my production ideas when I was engineering. So it kind of, for me, it evolved there. So I do both, and they can be both.
Okay.
And you know the feeling you got is you believe it. And you know you believe in your sight because you see it. And you know that the sensation's right because you feel it. Come to my senses.
What is your signature sound? I think that for me, when I think of transparency, I think of a person giving authenticity of what they do. Like you said, having your own voice and so on. But one of the main things that we notice as an audience is definitely that signature that someone may give all the time, or just those certain elements that they tend to always add into their songs. What would you say is your signature or your brand?
Well, I like to add Mike Sal made it. I just rip off Mike Will.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. I've yet to do the tag thing. Although
So you don't do the Mike Sal made it.
I see some serious merit to it. I'm starting to think that maybe I need to, because it's a lot of the times your music might get to artists and producers without you even knowing how.
Right.
And that could lead to them also not knowing it was you.
Yeah.
So,
but I think it definitely has its place but there's some there's some producers who have a definite tagline, let's say, that they put in every song, and you identify them immediately. But then there's some that the style and the feeling of it is what identifies them immediately, even if they never say who they are. Once you hear it, you're like, is that? God, it has to be, Yeah. And I think for me, that's the ones I love, because you didn't do anything to tell me that was you, but you authentically giving who you are told me that was you. You know what I'm saying?
My gosh, I can't wait till somebody says that about the music that I do. I will be so happy.
It's probably there, you just don't know it yet.
I've had some people suggest to me, I guess maybe I could start by saying, when I've taken meetings with songwriters and played them like a bunch of stuff and we're feeling each other out, I've had people say that that the sound is completely different than what they've heard. And is that the feel? Is that my sound combination choice? Is it, my arrangements? I mean, I'm not classically trained in really anything, so I really got into it as just a passionate fan of music. So a lot of my stuff is, I suppose, isn't as influenced by such a long list of
people,
traditional standard type of stuff, although I do a lot of studying and listen to a lot of music. So I guess, if different is what I've been told, and I know what I strive for, and what I'm working towards, and what I'm excited about having be my brand, my mark when I am making a record is to do music with great like-minded artists. The connection for me is a personal one, and then their ability to express themselves musically allows us to make music from it. Finding that connection with an artist, and then trying to deliver a song, a sound that steps a little bit off of the worn path that they've already traveled.
And speaking of songs and putting the songs together, I have one of your songs in particular I want to ask you about, and it's and it's Best You Got.
Yes.
You did that song with D Woods, who we know originally from Dandy Kane, Vintage Nation, who's here in Atlanta also, and yourself. I'm curious to know what inspired, why that combination? Why did you put those combinations together?
Well, actually, both D Woods and Vintage Nation are good friends of mine, and I had been working with Vintage Nation quite a bit in studio. The lead singer is a girl named Ink, and we've been writing a lot of stuff. And so we were we were very familiar with one another's frequency and energy, and we were doing a bunch of records for an artist that was signed to Young Money at the time. A kid named Torian, real talented kid. Shout out to Torian. And so we had done a whole bunch of records, and around the same time I was working with D Woods on a show, and so we were together for weeks at a time. So I knew both of these two artists, and kind of going back to what's my sound, it was like, these are two people that you would probably never see together on somebody's project in general. And I liked that idea. I thought, you're bringing together really different ingredients into this gumbo, and that was exciting for me. And since it was my own project, there wasn't anybody there to suggest it was a bad idea. So
no one to say no. That's the good thing about having your own.
I feel
you
like
are the boss of it.
Everybody in every walk of life, whatever it is that you do outside of your 9 to 5 and how you pay your overhead for your month and everything, everybody should have something that they can do without having to check in on anybody.
Let's say engineering a song or producing a song. Once you've written down those lyrics, then what?
Well, what's your objective with the song? That's, I think, the first thing you should establish. Like, what do you want to accomplish? Is it something that you want, a well-known artist to sing? Is it something that you want to listen to on your own computer? Is it something you want to give to your loved one, as a Christmas gift? Establish what you want to accomplish. What the objective is with the song, because that will, heavily influence how you go about doing it. And then, of course, you got to find out what your budget is.
Yeah, that might be the first thing after you finish writing those songs down. Those lyrics down.
I mean, for me, I think what I find, I like to establish, because if you're working with an independent artist, they might be writing songs that are massive songs, but they might not want it to be that. So it's important to kind of be on the same page about what it is that you want to accomplish with the song, and then after that, it's just kind of putting the nose to the grindstone, I guess is the saying.
I ride here faithfully by your side.
I was on my way here. I was thinking about what has been the greatest experience I've had thus far in this career, whether it's been with When We Speak or as singing, background and stuff like that. And I remember I had the opportunity to sing behind Hart, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Hart and Nancy Wilson. Ooh. And I remember thinking, wow, I have never in my whole life experienced an energy like this. Well, from the time we hit the stage to the time we walked off the stage, the energy was like, boom, boom, boom. Then, the lights was hot behind me too, so that probably helped to make it hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I felt that has been the biggest climax I've had in my career thus far. So what has been your biggest climax?
Oh my gosh, that is so hard. As you were saying it, I knew where the question was going, and I just had ideas rifling through my head. I would say, and it's kind of, I guess, a selfish thing, but
it's okay to be selfish sometimes.
It's my interview anyway. No, I would just say one thing that I cherish is the first EP that I made, and that process, and wanting to do it and doing it, and everything that went into it, and the album release party, and everything that. And everybody that got involved in it, and the energy that was behind it, releasing that, doing that, going through with it without really knowing, why or how, right away, it brought me to this point. It was the stepping stone to our interview, to a lot of other projects that I'm working on, to the Best You Got song that just got released with D Woods and Vintage Nation.
Hey everybody, this is Jermaine Sain. I just want to remind you that at the bottom of your screen, you can hit the like button, or if there's a thumbs up, you can hit the thumbs up. So always remember that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and continue to support indie music.